The audiences and fans are beginning to wake up to the fact that they want more than vibes from their idols. Life is all about choices. I could have easily been just another photographer that is in Cannes, is in Venice, is shooting celebrities all the time. It's not who I am. I enter the room very clear. I don't code switch about what I stand for to anyone. I'm not judging you for your silence. I'm begging you for your voice. It's never too late to have a voice. Forget about what your publicist is saying, what your management is saying, and listen to your heart.
This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. Let's talk about someone who we haven't heard from in a while. Meghan's bestie, Misan Harriman. The man who wants us to believe he's not just a photographer, but a modern-day prophet. Recently, Misan did an interview with Middle East Eye, and in this interview, he preaches like he's the world's conscience. He tells us what's right, what's wrong, who should speak, who should be ashamed, and who deserves to be remembered by history. But here's the truth. When you strip away the poetry and the posh accent and the black and white images, Harriman's moral clarity collapses into hypocrisy. Because he doesn't just apply it fairly, he preaches fire against strangers, but when it comes to his close friends, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, he's completely silent. And that silence is everything. Because Meghan and Harry are the walking embodiment of hypocrisy. I mean, this is not news to anyone, but we know they are serial complainers living in luxury. They preach compassion while bullying staff and supporting a hate group called the Sussex Squad. They cry about the press while selling their lives to Netflix and the tabloids. They talk about service while profiting and abandoning selfless duty. They accuse their family of racism, being oppressed, and treated unfairly while providing zero proof. And Harriman, the man who says he'll die on the sword of truth, never dares to call them out. So in this video, let's take his interview and analyze it. And then we'll drag his posh hypocrisy into light and show how it mirrors the lies of Harry and Meghan.
It's important to articulate this to people instead of venerating people because they are black or you have any kind of understanding of the geopolitics of the time. Moral clarity is what I try and bring into how I see the world. What is right and what is wrong. And no one can ever persuade me that the bodies of Arab children is worth anything in moving any kind of society forward. No one can ever persuade me that. I will die on that sword. And I hope I'm not radical for saying such a thing.
On the surface, I do agree with him pertaining to the children in Gaza. Innocent children are being killed. That's a fact. Others are dying from starvation and dehydration. That's another fact. I have empathy for this because they are God's children. I don't care if they're Jewish or Palestinian, they're still God's children. I'm not going to get into where I stand on this war because this video isn't about that. This is about Misan Harriman and the way he uses this tragedy to set himself up as a moral authority in this interview. So Harriman gets into saying moral clarity is what I try to bring into how I see the world, what is right and what is wrong, and no one can ever persuade me that the bodies of Arab children is worth anything in moving society forward. I will die on that sword. So when you listen to that carefully, he sets himself up as a man of uncompromising principle, someone who claims he will literally die before betraying his moral clarity. That's the highest claim you can make. But here's the problem with this. Where's that sword when it comes to his friends? Where was it when Meghan Markle accused the royal family of racism, refused to give a name, and then let the world rip apart the monarchy based on her insinuations? Where was his moral authority when Meghan added her venom to attacking the Queen, who was in process of saying goodbye to her soulmate in the remaining time she had left with him on Earth? Where was Misan's moral authority when he not only participated but fueled the online discourse with Ngozi Fulani? You know, the one who accused Lady Susan Hussey of racism all because she asked where she came from? Where was his sword when Harry declared he wanted privacy, only to rush to Netflix with a 6-part reality show attacking the very institution that gave him his platform? Where was it when Meghan claimed victimhood while hijacking the childhood name of the woman she smeared with the racism card? If the institution is supposedly so racist and oppressive because of the white man, why didn't Misan ever call out Meghan and Harry's own racially charged double standards towards white people? And where was his sword when the couple lied in interviews, contradicted themselves in their memoirs, and profited off half-truths and slander? If you're going to die on the sword of truth, you don't get to put it down when your friends are lying and harming people for their own selfish gain. You don't get to swing it only at safe targets like David Beckham or the system. The fact that he hides his sword when it comes to Meghan and Harry proves the whole performance is empty. This isn't moral clarity. It's selective outrage, and selective outrage isn't bravery. It's called hypocrisy.
But I enter the room very clear. I don't code switch about what I stand for to anyone. And I think maybe that's why, especially in the last 18 months, a really big audience has found me and stayed with me and helped me know that, I should continue swimming upstream.
So Misan Harriman's bragging that he enters the room very clear and he doesn't code switch about what he stands for. That's his way of saying, I always speak my truth. I never change who I am to fit in. Really? Always? Then explain his silence on Meghan and Harry. Meghan bullied female staff until they broke down in tears, documented by multiple palace reports. Did Harriman ever call that out? No. Harry preaches about saving the planet, yet he and Meghan fly private jets like their Uber rides. Did Harriman ever call that out? Absolutely not. Meghan and Harry exploit their children using Archie to accuse the royals of racism, parading little Betty only when it suits them. But all the while, they're demanding privacy. Did Harriman speak on any of that? Not a word. And what about photoshopping the photo of Meghan allegedly pregnant with little Betty? Or this, what appears to be an AI-generated photo of little Betty with no legs? So yes, he may not code switch in a boardroom with strangers, but when it comes to his beneficial relationship with Harry and Meghan, he absolutely switches off. That's not courage, that's cowardice. And cowardice is not compatible with moral clarity.
And that applies to everyone. I think of the ambassadors as, celebrities are one thing, but there are celebrities that are ambassadors to children's charities. Just so I'm very clear. The charities do one thing, protect children when they're in danger. I am an ambassador of one, Save the Children. The two big ones are Save the Children and UNICEF.
Keep in mind that these are two major organizations that recently have been in the news for the abuse of children. So, Misan, where is your voice on these atrocities? Where is your voice on the over 300,000 children that have gone missing here in the United States?
And I would say the majority of the most high-profile ambassadors have not said a thing about the children of Gaza. I think the real reason is that the fear of feeling alone in being called out for something they know is right overrides doing the right thing. How crazy is that? And many of these people have enough wealth for 10 generations. One I will name is David Beckham, huge ambassador for UNICEF. And if he hears this, David, I beg you, this isn't about rage or finger pointing. I beg you, you have children, you've raised children, you've just been knighted, you have unspeakable wealth. Be the voice for the children of Gaza.
Now, why do you think he chose David Beckham? Was that a favor to Harry and Meghan? Because he could have equally have called out Harry and Meghan. Harry and Meghan have supported Save the Children and UNICEF. Now, of course, it's emotional, and to some degree, it's powerful. But it's also hypocritical because the man who cries for children abroad ignores the way his friends exploit their own children at home. Why go and attack David Beckham when, if you believe that Harry and Meghan have these children, why not bring their names into the mix? We know Harry and Meghan exploit their kids whenever it suits their narrative, and Harriman says absolutely nothing. He'll shame David Beckham, but he won't shame Harry and Meghan, because calling out the soccer player is safe. Calling out his own friends would take actual courage. That's why his pleas about children ring absolutely hollow here. They're not about universal principle. This is about moral theater, and this is all this guy knows how to do.
Well, that's my whole life, isn't it? You know, I think after I became known for the Vogue cover, life is all about choices. I could have easily been just another photographer that is in Cannes, is in Venice, is shooting celebrities all the time. I have all the access now, right? And that could have been it.
Keep in mind that this destructive Marxist only became a photographer in 2017, and he learned from watching YouTube videos. The only reason why this guy has access is because of Meghan, and by default, it's because of the royal family, the same royal family and institution that this guy has been denouncing and so conveniently been gaslighting during a time when it was trendy to go ahead and use the race card to claim your victimhood. So just a little bit about this guy. He talks about how Nigeria had been so oppressed. So even though Harriman was born in Nigeria, he actually grew up in the UK, going to a UK boarding school, and had a pretty cushy life. This guy has the audacity to talk about colonialism and race. I mean, throughout this whole thing, it's about race. But Misan ended up marrying a white woman. Publicly, Harriman positions himself as a strong critic of white supremacy and colonialism, but privately, he's married to a white woman and built his career in Western institutions. I mean, he worked with British Vogue, South Bank Center, Hollywood. Hypocrisy at its finest. He's condemning the system while simultaneously thriving in it and benefiting from close ties to the same culture. Does he not hear himself?
It's not who I am. You know, and I love the medium of photography. I love the history of photographing interesting people with interesting stories. But the work is listening to the streets. The work is using my lens to reflect the human condition. And I think the visibility that my proximity to celebrity culture has helped. And this is what you do. You know, it's a sleight of hand. People are like, oh my God, Misan, Vogue, amazing. I'm like, Free Palestine, Congo. Sudan, you know what's happening to children in Nigeria, and they're like, oh, and that's me. So it gives me the access.
To some degree, there is some honesty here. His entire platform is built on celebrity access. He photographs stars, he rides their coattails, and then he uses that access to brand himself as a moral leader. That's the same trick Meghan and Harry pulled. They tell us they're just like us, but they cashed in on their royal access, sold their stories, and used their titles for profit. They live off the very institution they claim to despise. I don't see this being any different. Harriman is doing the exact same thing with his camera. He's not outside the system, he's a part of it. I guess maybe he just hides it better.
There's something too about the black and white photography, which has become such an integral part of your visual language. What is it about that kind of that?
There's no small talk in monochrome.
You know, I'd really love to know who is funding this guy, because he just so happened to come out of nowhere in 2017, learning from YouTube on how to become a photographer to then go ahead and support all these causes that have been backed by George Soros. You know, Black Lives Matter was like the biggest scam, but it was used as a political movement all in the whole grand scheme of things to keep Donald Trump out of office. And here we have this guy talking about American politics and favoring Barack Obama. Is anybody surprised? Anybody shocked?
People in America are scratching their heads because they maybe thought the Democrat Party wasn't the party of bombs. And in Biden's tenure, that has been made very clear that they very much were. And as a black person, I look at Obama. And, there's a picture with him on the table with Edward Said. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? And then I read further and, a young Barack Obama knew as much about the Palestinian plight as any professor of its time. He really knew it and was passionate about it. But such is the AIPAC hold over American politics that you just become it, or you do not become the president of the most powerful military force in the world. That's just the bottom line.
Now remember, this guy went to Nigeria with Harry and Meghan, but he's been absolutely silent on all the Christians that are being slaughtered in Nigeria right now. Not a word. So what is Misan Harriman's real agenda? Because quite honestly, I'm not buying this, I care so much about Gaza. Is it because this is what the Marxists are now pushing on? I'd like to believe that this guy actually cares, but how can you say that you care when you have not only all the trafficking and abuse that's going on with these children that has been going on for the past 4 years, and now you pick this cause because you care about the atrocities happening to these children? There's a lot of children right now in the world that are experiencing atrocities, some that we will never know ever existed because of these sick people in the world who has been not only trafficking, but also breeding, and I hate saying that, breeding children for their own sick purposes. The guy claims to talk about serious human rights abuses in the Congo. Well, where is your voice calling Prince Harry out for African parks?
As beautiful as color is, color can also be distracting. Where black and white, I always say in between the highlights and the shadows lies truth.
I love how this guy thinks he's so profound, and the person that's interviewing him is like taking it all in like a sucker. Here we have this guy who only sees in color when it comes to talking about culture and race. And it's always about how the white man is oppressing people like him. Come on, Misan, do better.
And there's a truth to monochrome images. I think if you Google the top 100 most iconic images of all time, the majority are black and white for a reason. And I think it just cuts through. You can't really defend yourself against a good monochrome image. And I think for protests, it just works beautifully.
Yeah, black and white is also really good to hide any photoshopping or edits being made to a photo. Ask Meghan Markle why she has so many of her photos in black and white. When we cut to the chase, no black and white filter can hide hypocrisy. His photos may look dramatic, but they can't erase the fact that he condemns some celebrities while excusing his friends. They can't erase his silence on Harry and Meghan. He says his art reflects humanity, but the humanity he shows is selective, just like Harry and Meghan's compassion is selective. They show kindness when the cameras are on, cruelty when the cameras are off. Harriman's so-called lived truth is just as filtered as his brand. I can't tell you how sick I am of these people. I mean, they talk out of both sides of their mouth, acting as if they are the moral authority, when they don't even look at their own behavior and actions and how people see it. Like, if we are supposed to be using our voice, right? His voice and Meghan's voice and all these other elites who want to virtue signal should be able to shut their mouths once in a while and listen to what other people have to say. Like, this nonsense goes on for a full hour. I'll go ahead and leave the link below if you want to watch the whole thing, but it's more of the same thing. And it's just irritating because it does not land well, in my opinion, because of his relationship and his lack of acknowledging Harry and Meghan's bad behavior, but instead supporting it and almost to a point helping them achieve and contain this image that they want the world to believe in, which has fallen flat. Those are just my thoughts. I could go on longer, but there really isn't much more to say because this guy is a complete hypocrite, an irritating one at that. But definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!
Such a fraud.